today we're going to start painting this 335 kit that we got from Stuart McDonald. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching another episode in our 335 kit build series. These videos have been pretty popular and I think I know why, because this guitar is pretty cool. So if you guys are following along and building with us, awesome. If you're not, link in the description below. You can get one of these kits from Stu Mac and have them send it to you. In the last episode, we glued the neck on, and I talked about some things that I might do a little differently, but we are still good to go. And what I have done today, and I'm going to tell you what I did, and then I'm going to give it over to Chris. He's going to tell you what he did, and then we're going to start actually shooting paint on this. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what I have done since the last time we talked was I glued this piece of mahogany on here. This is basically trim carpentry, you guys. Now the kit comes with a piece of white plastic that matches the binding. But since the original 335s don't have that, I thought, well, why don't we just put a piece of mahogany here, and when we do the burst finish paint job, that'll look like the original. So I know I said I was only going to use what was in the kit, but I had a scrap piece of mahogany laying around. So all I did was I glued that down and then shaped it exactly as the instructions say to do using the white piece of plastic. And the white piece of plastic would look cool too. Since I did that, I was able to blend all this together, made my neck look good. But I did go into the original UV pore filler that Chris did. So we're actually going to start by UV pore filling this again. Chris did some work on the frets, and they're a little better. Now they still need to be leveled and the ends cleaned up, but I think they're pretty good to go. And I think this guitar is ready for its day in the paint booth. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris. He's going to tell you a little bit about what he did on the frets, and then he's going to walk you through UV pore fill and start to do the UV sealer process. Cool?
Yep.
We are going, sir.
All right. So as Matt said, I did some cleanup on the fret edges because they were sharp, and I wanted to make sure that, well, I just wanted to get rid of them before I start doing sealer and all of that. So I just used file, knocked those down, did a little bit of filling. We had a little bit of a minor gap around our heel there. It wasn't a gap, it was just a, I want it to look seamless. So a little filler there, a little sanding, and we're gonna redo the pore filler from here to here on the body, and then I think I'm going to do the whole mahogany neck again in an effort to hopefully get a little more pore filler in there, and it'll take less coats of the sealer. That's the plan. And I think if I had it to do over, I might wait to do pore filler until the whole thing was glued together.
So do all the glue up and fill and
First, and then
the little trim carpentry. Okay.
I'll try and not get this stuff everywhere. We'll find out.
So we will probably do some more fret work after sealer, because that's going to be our last time to do any fret work before we do paint and not have it get all gopped up, right? Because we
Yes. Yeah, and I've taking off whatever sealer or paint I have on the fret ends in every step of the process, because I don't want to chip the paint, removing it at the very end. So if the frets are fairly clean, before you go to, like say final clear, that clear isn't thick enough to do a whole lot when it chips off or hurt you're not going to run the risk of having a big chip and then having to fix a big chip.
So there are some people who asked in some previous videos what pore filler we are using, And we are using the SimTech. Let me zoom in. We are using the SimTech Presec UV Cure. If you call SimTech Coatings, which by the way, you have to call SimTech Coatings, they don't let you order on the website. If you call SimTech and tell them you want the UV Cure, and talk to Mike, he is sort of their UV expert guy. He'll tell you all about the UV products that they have and give you kind of a heads up on where to get lights and that sort of thing, and whether or not you can let this cure in the sun. Spoiler alert, he's going to tell you don't let it cure in the sun. You got to have a light for it. He will also let you know some places where you can get the lamps. Ours came from a company called UV3. Yeah, we're going to use that again here in a second, aren't we, Chris?
There we are.
Oh, it's important to also note that what you're doing here, Chris, is not a finish.
Correct.
Right? This is not something you put on there and now it's done. This is only pore filler.
Yes.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is mask off the neck, the fretboard. And no matter how hard you try to mask it off completely tight, sealer and paint will always get down there. It's just a fact of guitar building. So I don't sweat it too much. I'll clean that stuff off, and if I clean it off after every, we'll seal it, then I'll clean it off, and then we'll do final paint, and I'll clean it off. It's not a big deal. If you wait until the end and you have to chip off 4 or 5 different products that you've used,
You run the risk of damaging everything, right?
yeah. If you're trying to chip it off and it wants to, peel off on the neck.
What? So, are you going to mask the binding on this step, Chris? I know the answer.
No, I am not. Sealer goes over binding. The only time I'm going to mask binding is when we go to do final paint, colors, I should say. Which is what I will say.
But you are going to mask the nut.
I am going
Kind
to mask
of.
the nut. I'm going to leave the end.
That'll be cool because it'll feel smooth right there, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this nut actually fits pretty darn nice, so...
You think the grain's going to pop at all when we get sealer on it? It might a little bit.
Maybe a little bit more.
Probably
I think,
not too
I think we
much.
saw all the grain pop when we first did our
Yep.
pore filler.
Yep.
Now it might pop a little bit more when we get to some colors.
Colors, yeah.
Yeah. I specifically did not trim my nails this morning because I knew I was going to be filming this today.
Yeah,
And every time I trim my nails, I bitch about it for 2 days. I trim my nails and now I can't mask.
And then what are you going to do for to keep sealer out of the inside of the body and stuff?
I've got a secret weapon called paper towels. I think we're just going to jam them down in there.
Are you going to mask off the tuner holes or bridge holes or any of that stuff?
If we have to chase those, and we probably will before assembly, but it's no big.
So I'm not as good at masking necks as you are. I have to mask it oversized and then trim the excess.
Yeah, I don't mind if I've got a little bit of binding or fretboard showing.
Okay.
Because I know I'm going to have to go back through with a razor blade and scrape around the frets, and then I always scrape that too, and it's just not a big deal. I'd rather have to remove a little paint than wonder how to add paint later. It's a good thing I have my trusty little knife.
Those are nice.
Indispensable. They are nice.
It's like almost like Gerber made those for guitar builders in some ways.
I think they did, yeah.
I think they did
it's
too.
got all the things a guitar builder needs. The knife,
Beer
bottle
opener. Yep.
Bottle opener, yeah, can opener. This cord.
I'm sure that's for something.
Yeah, it's for when you your strap's not quite long enough.
Yep.
You pry it off. I don't know. Okay, enough horsing around. So I'm sort of shooting from the hip on this. I have heard of people using balloons. I have never tried it. This is actually my first hollow guitar. Oh, we've done this though, because I've done F-holes before and like thin line tellies and stuff. It's like when we were talking about earlier today, and you said, you know, you'd never had a guitar like this. And I said, yeah, me neither. And then started
you
to name
realized,
off
yeah,
like 6 or 7 that I've
yeah.
had. Yeah.
I still think that one could do really wild stuff with this. Like if one wanted to, say for example, relocate the jack to the side, and then turn what is now the jack hole into, I don't know, you could make it a kill switch, or you could just make it a weird hole in the body. I don't know. There was another YouTube content creator who actually cut a control cavity cover in one of these. Yes.
Yes.
And he received some hate mail.
Incurred the wrath of the internet.
Isn't that weird? Like why would anybody care? It's not like he took a vintage 335 and did it.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
Whoever that is.
Yeah. Couldn't really understand him because he has an accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's what he said.
All right.
Well, that looks somewhat marginal.
Okay. Maybe jam some more in there.
Maybe. Maybe if I look at it from another angle.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Now we're talking. So you don't want paint in there.
That's where your little logo thing goes.
That's where your little logo thing.
You know the
goes.
little oval logo deal
Oh yeah.
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 that we don't have any of, and we'd have
Yeah.
to custom make to get in there.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think that's going to
I
work.
think we're gonna be okay,
I
sir.
think so too.
All right.
All righty. Oh, hook.
So while Chris is getting ready to do the sealer coat, I thought I would take some time to show you guys exactly what it is that we're going to be spraying. This is Simtech Press Tech UV Cure. Now it's not actually sealer, it's more marketed as top coat, but in the MSDS it says that you can use this as a sealer coat, so we've been using it with really terrific success. So it goes on in 3 applications, and Chris has got to have his mask on so he doesn't breathe in a bunch of crud. You're going to spray 3 rounds, right, Chris?
Yep, with 30 minutes in between each, and then 30 minutes flash time before we UV cure it.
Okay. So this first round, guys, is going to be kind of a tack coat. It's not going to be super thick. In fact, all the coats are not going to be crazy thick. They're going to be fairly slim, well, fairly thin coats. All right, I'm going to get in as close as I can. right, so 30 minutes later, we'll come back and do exactly the same thing again, and then we'll wait another 30 minutes and do the exact same thing again.
I don't even care, man. I could be 70. I don't give a shit. How old are you? Is this your wife?
I live in a cave.
That's a beautiful lady.
Hey, let's talk about how...
All right, kids.
Hold on. Talk about like how it's time to do it again, and how when you're done, you just pour it back in the can or something.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
You're on?
Yeah.
So first tip, I gotta remember to wear safety glasses with this stuff, because I just do. One of the neat things about this product is you don't have to mix anything with it. You can pour it straight from the can, straight into the gun, and when you're done, you can pour it straight from the gun back into the can and reuse it next time. So there's no waste of product, unless you spill it all over the floor like I did last week. But don't worry, I UV'd the floor, so it's hard. You ready?
Ready. So this is round number 3, yeah?
Round number 3.
The other cool thing is it levels as you set, right? We'll talk more about that in a moment. Alright gang, what you just watched was Chris spray 3 rounds of UV Cure Clear onto this body, and we are going to use that as the sealer coat. So we've UV pore filled and UV cleared or UV sealed this body. Now the next thing that we're going to do is sand it all back and get everything nice and smooth, and then we'll do the color coats and then the top coats. The reason that this is a super cool thing is because the paint doesn't take time to dry. You hit it with UV light, and just like that, it's absolutely. I mean, I'm. This is right out of the booth. You can sand it. You can manipulate it. You can put strings on it and rock out. It's actually, it looks pretty good because it's all glossy because it came out of the booth. But what I want you guys to see is there's not. I mean, there's orange peel because we still have to. You know, there's always orange peel, but because this paint doesn't dry. It sits for a half hour, and then another round goes on, and then a half hour, and then another round goes on, and a half hour. It levels, and it doesn't dry and sag. It actually levels out. So this is a very smooth finish, smoother than the OG Simtech, which we still use, by the way. But this is super cool stuff. So here it is, gang. I don't know if what you think so far. Chris, do you think we should let people decide what color this should be, or do you want to just pick? We're going to pick the color. Maybe on the next one you can pick the color. What are you thinking about for color for this one, Chris?
Some sort of burst.
I think a traditional, super cool burst would be really neat.
Yeah, I think this guitar needs to be very, very traditional.
So yeah, so in the next video we are going to be painting, and so the next video Chris will just be like doing a burst and doing clear coat, something like that. So I hope that you guys stick around for that. If you like this video, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button. It's free and it helps us out quite a bit. If you appreciate the content that we bring to you guys free of charge, you might want to consider helping us out on Patreon or joining on YouTube and kicking in $1 a month or so. Even a small amount like that helps us out a lot and goes a long way to helping us bring you guys neat stuff like this. Another way that you can support us is to buy stuff from StewMac. Link in the description below. Every time you buy stuff from StewMac, we get a little bitty taste. And a little bit goes a long way. And I've got a bunch of new videos from tools from StewMac. One of them I even helped build. So I look forward to bringing you that. If you can't do any of those things though, just like the video, share the video, tell all your friends how cool we are and how handsome Chris is. And until next time, this is Matt at Texas Toast reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. We'll see you next time, guys. Have a great week.